This is the Death Row and Executions channel. Here is your host, Paco Rivera.
Welcome to the Death Row and Executions channel. I'm Paco Rivera. You can also follow me on Facebook for updates and more Death Row news. There will be a link to my Facebook in the description below. You might also want to check out my other channel here on YouTube called The Maximum Sentence, where I cover recent crimes and convictions and a maximum penalty handed down. There will be a link for that as well. The state of Utah hasn't executed anyone since the year 2010, 14 years ago, when the state executed Ronnie Lee Gardner by firing squad that year. Utah hasn't even sentenced anyone in a courtroom to the death penalty since 2 years before that, when Floyd Eugene Maestas was sentenced to death in 2008. And Maestas has since died in 2018 while on death row. Since the year 2010, when Utah carried out the last execution to take place there, they have scheduled only one execution in the year 2012, convicted killer Michael Archuleta, and that execution was later called off by a judge. Archuleta remains on death row along with 6 other death row inmates in Utah. There are 7 death row inmates in that state. And this year, they have added as the next one scheduled to be executed, 48-year-old Taberon Dave Honie, a Native American man who was 22 years old when he committed the crime that he is being executed for. This video is probably going to be a bit shorter than most others because it's basically an open and shut case. I mean, the killer was caught by police with blood on his hands at the crime scene and saying, "I did it." By the year 1998, Taberon Honie had broken up with his girlfriend, Carol Pickevit, and they had a child together. Honie and Carol had been dating since 1995. Honie then began dating another woman named Shiloh John. On the night of July 9th, 1998, Honie was extremely intoxicated, and he called his ex-girlfriend Carol and asked her to meet with him at the home of his current girlfriend. Yeah, strange request. Who does that? Anyway, Carol told Honie that she was headed to work and could not meet with him. Honie became very angry and told her that if she doesn't meet with him, he will go kill her mother and her sister Benita Pickevit and her sister's children, and that he will then take custody of their child and disappear. Now, Carol ignored the threats because it was not the first time that Honie had made them. He had made those same threats several times before, and typically, by the time he sobered up, it was not an issue anymore. Carol and her sister Benita left the house to work an overnight shift about 10:30 that evening, and all 3 children, Carol's child and Benita's 2 children, were in bed to go to sleep. Watching over them was Carol and Benita's mother, Claudia Benn. In 1998, the mother, Claudia, was 49 years old. This is a photo that appears with her obituary, and she appears much younger here. Anyway, at 11:20 that night, after having made that threatening phone call to his ex-girlfriend Carol, Taberon Honie, still very drunk, was picked up by a taxi driver and dropped off not far from the home where Claudia Benn lived. About an hour later, neighbors called 911 to report what sounded like a terrible disturbance going on next door at Claudia's home, and police arrived moments later. Police observed Taberon Honie attempting to leave the residence by walking out through the garage. He was covered in blood. Obviously knowing that he was busted, when asked what happened, Honie told the officers that he stabbed the woman in the house and killed her. Honie was arrested. Upon inspection of the interior of the home, police discovered that the rear glass door was smashed open with a rock and concluded that that is how Honie entered the residence. They later encountered a horrific, bloody scene and Claudia Benn lying dead on the floor of a bedroom, partially nude. Children in the house had awakened during or right after the assault and apparently made contact with the room or with the body because they also had blood on them. One of the girls was nude from the waist down, and blood was trickling from her genital area, her own blood. It was later learned that Honie had fondled and then used a foreign object to penetrate her. Taberon Honie, however, would only admit to attempting to violate the children's grandmother before killing her. On the day after the murder, investigators questioning Honie would state that the now sober Honie appeared to be very remorseful for what he had done and was stating over and over how that should not have happened. Honie waived his right to a jury trial and that only the judge will decide his sentence. Following a 2-day sentencing trial, the judge imposed the death penalty. In later years, Honie tried to get that sentence reduced by admitting that it was a mistake to leave the sentencing decision in the hands of one person, a judge, instead of having a better chance with 12 jurors, by claiming that he had almost no criminal history, he was severely intoxicated during the time of the crime, and that he was only 22 years old. Unfortunately for him, those appeals were denied.
The court therefore concludes that there are no legal reasons against the judgment of death. The law requires me to sign both a warrant of execution and an order of delivery of the warrant of execution.
Claudia Marie Benn was presumed killed after midnight, so her official date of death is listed as July 10th, 1998. She was born in Kingman, Arizona in 1949 and moved to several different towns in Arizona before settling in Phoenix in 1995. Claudia later began doing work with the Kaibab Indian tribe in Kaibab, Arizona. She later moved to Salt Lake City in Utah and attended the University of Utah, where she obtained a degree in sociology. She also volunteered a great deal of her time with various charitable committees. Claudia enjoyed playing bingo and going to powwows. Please remember to hit the subscribe button for more death row and upcoming execution stories so that you are alerted when the next one comes out. You can also follow me on Facebook for updates. There will be a link to my Facebook in the description below. My name is Paco Rivera. Take care and bye for now.